Eye on Health on WSBT 22 is sponsored by Beacon Health System. You're watching WSBT 22 News at 5.
Now, the CDC is expected to vote tomorrow to allow 12 to 15-year-olds to get the Pfizer shot.
And new at 5, the timing of this vote is turning family debates over whether to get children vaccinated against the virus from hypothetical to reality.
In tonight's Eye on Health, WSBT 22's Bob Montgomery tells us for one local family, there's no debate at all.
5-year-old Eos Teran is a normal child, but just over a month ago, she almost died from complications tied to a seemingly harmless COVID case. Her mother, Liliana, says Eos was diagnosed at the same time the rest of the family tested positive in early February. While nearly everyone in the house had some symptoms, in fact, Liliana was hospitalized, Eos showed no symptoms. It wasn't until 2 weeks after what should have been the end of her illness, Eos had a complaint.
She started complaining about her throat hurting, but I really didn't pay much attention to it because she had just had COVID. So it was like not a big deal to me.
It became a big deal when Eos stopped responding to fever medicine and suddenly started developing a rash, throwing up, and was extremely lethargic.
When I decided to take her to the hospital, it was when she was just sleeping. There was nothing that would wake her up. I did try to wake her up several times, and she would open her eyes, tell me, "Mommy, I'm really tired," and go back to sleep right away. I was afraid that, she was just gonna sleep and not wake up.
Doctors at Beacon Children's Hospital knew about a month after a positive COVID diagnosis is when a child can run into trouble. Eos was put into the pediatric intensive care unit, going into multi-system inflammatory syndrome in children, or MIS-C.
Over the next several weeks, sometime develop sort of vague symptoms that are cold or flu-like, maybe like strep infections, sore throats, and then that gradually proceeds, but it can be fast, but it gradually proceeds to up and all the way until heart failure and respiratory collapse.
That's the danger. Some children are genetically predisposed to this life-threatening complication up to 60 days after getting COVID and not know it. That's why the doctors who treat the worst of these cases strongly advise every child get the vaccine as soon as possible.
If you're not getting vaccinated, if you're in that bucket of multi-system inflammatory syndrome, multiple systems can get affected. Your heart, you can have heart failure, you can have kidney failure, you can have your liver affected, your lungs affected.
Eos's mother, Liliana, is fully vaccinated, and her children will be too.
I'm not planning on risking them anymore. She could have stayed at that hospital, and I would probably not have my little girl right now.
Liliana's advice for any parent who's skeptical about your child getting a vaccine: talk to and believe your doctor, not the posts you read on social media. Bob Montgomery for Eye on Health, WSBT 22 News.
Good advice. Glad she's okay.